What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, I want to talk about the 2024 Jeep Wagoneer S Launch Edition, which in my opinion is one of the best lease deals in the country. So right now, you can lease this Jeep for roughly $468 a month with about $5,000 due at signing, and the MSRP on this Jeep is roughly $72,000. So what we'll do in the first part of this video is we'll look at the national lease ad on this Jeep, and we'll break down the mileage allowance. We'll talk about the due at signing amount, how you can negotiate a lower due at signing amount. We'll talk about the MSRP, and we'll talk about all of the little things that you need to know in a lease, and you'll get lots of helpful tips and tricks along the way. Then in the second part of this video, what we'll do is we'll run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Jeep Wagoneer, and I'll show you why it's a awesome lease deal in terms of value. And then in the third part of this video, what we'll do is we'll compare the monthly finance payments to the monthly lease payments, and you'll see why leasing this Jeep Wagoneer S is a much better financial decision than purchasing it. So if that sounds good to you, please be sure to like this video, and please be sure to follow me on all of the platforms that you're watching this video on. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me. All right, here we are on Jeep's website, and this is the homepage for the 2024 Wagoneer S. And as you can see here, we have the lease deal, the national lease offer right here, front and center. And if you're not familiar with the all-new Wagoneer S, it's an all-electric Jeep that has 300 plus miles of electric range. It has 600 horsepower, and this thing absolutely rips. A 0 to 60 time of 3.4 seconds and 45 inches of total display screen area if you're into that. Now, there's two different offers on this Jeep Wagoneer. There's this Conquest offer, which essentially means that you own a competitive brand. So maybe you own a Ford, a GM product, a Honda, or a Toyota. You would qualify for this offer, which is $399 a month with $4,519 due at signing. Now, if you don't qualify for the Conquest offer, you get the standard offer, which is also an incredible offer, where the monthly payment is $468 a month. It's a 24-month lease that requires $4,999 due at signing. Now, this $4,999 does not include taxes, so you have to pay taxes on rebates, and it's not going to include your registration fees, and it's not going to include other dealer fees. So I think depending on where you live, at least here in the city of Seattle, I would say you're looking at least another $1,500 on top of this $5,000 that's due at signing. Now, another thing that's really important here is that a lot of people ask me, hey, Ravi, I was told that, hey, I shouldn't put any money down on a lease. And I think that's really important. Now, if you just got this lease for the price listed, you'd be paying $5,000 down and let's say another $1,500 for registration and taxes and things like that. So that's a total of $6,500. Now, my recommendation to you is to get as much of this $5,000 right here rolled into the lease that you can. So for every $1,000 that you roll into the lease, your monthly payment's going to increase by about $30 a month. But you want to put the least amount of cash down as possible. So I would try to get this to zero down if you can, but maybe you can get to like $1,000. I still think that's not bad. And then you want to add $1,500 for tax, title, registration. So total out of pocket, you should be putting about $2,500 or less total out of pocket. And anytime I get a good lease deal and the dealer says, hey, Ravi, you just need to pay acquisition fee, first month's payment, and registration and taxes and dealer fees, I'm happy with that. And so, just because it says $5,000 down doesn't mean that you have to put $5,000 down. Now, let's go ahead and look at the disclosure and the fine print, because that's where we're going to find all of the other details. Now, let me make this bigger. So as you can see here, the MSRP on this lease is $71,995. You'll also see that the tax, title, and license is extra, and the total due at signing includes down payment and first month's payment. And then you're going to see that this lease allows for 10,000 miles a year, and for every mile that you drive over the 10,000 miles a year, or 20,000 miles in total, you're going to be charged 30 cents a mile. Now, my recommendation to you is if you know you drive 12 or 15,000 miles a year, get that 12 or 15,000 mile a year lease up front. It's going to be much cheaper to get that mileage up front than paying the excess mileage penalty. Now, here you're going to see that there is a $395 disposition fee when you return the vehicle, and you can't really get away from this disposition fee. And you'll see that this offer is good until March 31st, 2025. Now, the only way you can avoid paying this disposition fee is if you actually bought this car at the end of the lease term. I'm not sure what the residual value is, because sometimes it's listed here and sometimes it's not. And in this particular case, it's not listed. But really quickly, let's go ahead and run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Jeep Wagoneer so you can see why I think it's a good lease deal in terms of value. So if we take that $4,999 that's due at signing, and let's add that $1,500 to account for things like tax, title, registration, dealer fees, etc., you're looking at about $6,500 total due at signing. We'll subtract the $468 a month payment from this amount since it's included in the due at signing amount, and that gives us $6,031. We'll divide this by 24. So what we're doing is taking the total due at signing amount and dividing it into 24 equal parts, which is $251. And then we'll add the monthly payment of $468 back into this, and that gives us a zero down monthly payment of $719 a month. But this doesn't account for sales tax, and here in the city of Seattle, we have some of the highest sales tax rates in the country at 10%. So I'll multiply this by 1.1 to account for 10%. If your sales tax rate is 6%, then just multiply by 1.06. And you get an effective monthly payment with $0 down of $791 a month. And if we divide this by this vehicle's MSRP, which is $71,995, and multiply this by 100 to make it a percentage, you get 1.09%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, anytime you run this calculation and you get a number at or around 1%, that's an amazing lease deal, right? So typically, if you're under 1.5, that's a good lease deal. If you're under 1.5%. If you're under 1.25%, that's an amazing lease deal. And if you're under 1%, that's an amazing lease deal. So this lease deal is an amazing lease deal. It's sitting right at about 1%. Because remember, in some cases, you might even be able to negotiate the price of this lease down even further. So the standard national lease offer sitting at 1% is an amazing lease deal. And for context, Tesla Model Y is typically around 1.16 or 1.2%. There are other EVs out there that are at 1% or lower, but I think for this particular car, for a brand new model, I think it's desirable. Seems like a lot of people want it. I mean, sitting at 1%, I think it's an awesome lease deal. So let me show you why leasing this Jeep Wagoneer makes a lot of sense. So if we run the finance numbers on this Jeep Wagoneer S and we assume a selling price of $71,995, and if we assume a 72-month term at 0%, let's not do any of the rebates because I don't know which ones you guys will qualify for, and then use $1,500 in terms of dealer fees and registration fees. Your monthly payment, if you look over here on the right with $0 down, is going to be about $1,133. And meanwhile, if you were to lease this car, the effective monthly payment with $0 down is $791 a month. So you're looking at about a $300 difference, more than $300 if you were to finance this car, just in terms of pure cash flow on a monthly basis. So about $350, $340 more to finance this car as opposed to leasing this car. And when you lease this car, you're protected from the downside depreciation risk. And if you really want to keep this car for the long term, you have the option to purchase this Wagoneer S at the end of the lease term for the residual value, should you choose to do so. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it a video, and I do think the Jeep Wagoneer S Launch Edition is one of the best lease deals in the country. And if you guys, if anybody watching has actually leased one of these, please let me know your terms in the comment section below or email them to me at raviwadden@gmail.com. I would love to check them out, and I'd love to share those numbers with the rest of the community. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.